Hello, good day to all of you today. And today we're going to talk about one potential bombshell that I think our local news media failed to report or failed to detect. Whatever that is, so far I've scanned the World Wide Web today, this morning, and I haven't seen one story mentioning this potential bombshell. And this is about security breach in the BPO industry of the Philippines, business process outsourcing industry in the Philippines. And so far, according to news, not really news, but people exposing or probably talking about this issue, this is in Cebu City, okay? The call center industry in Cebu, and it involves Google, the biggest search engine in the world. Okay, the biggest search engine in the world, and it involves multi-million dollar transactions, or let's just say security breach. And one thing that I need to tell you is that, well, this is not official yet, but according to people privy to the issue, people who probably work for this BPO company, according to them, this is real. This is real news, not fake news. And probably FBI is already involved because definitely FBI should have been tapped by Google in order to do or conduct investigation. And we're going to talk about that later on. Let me just tell you this, okay? Before the start of the pandemic, okay, before it was called the pandemic by the WHO, the Philippines shut down Metro Manila and many other parts of the country, and we call it lockdown or ECQ, enhanced community quarantine. Before in March, I still remember that. If I'm not mistaken, we started not working on March 14 or 15 or 16, somewhere along those days, okay? And they shut down public transport. Our company was shut down as well. We were not required to go to work, and we were paid. All right, we were paid. So these are like the good things and bad things about the pandemic, but of course generally it's bad thing because it affected and is still affecting millions of Filipinos, and a lot of Filipinos today are jobless. And we have this news unfolding on social media, and it was also picked up by some users on Facebook, and it's gotten a lot of attention from people working in the BPO industry because it affects their lives, especially that we are, still undergoing this pandemic. It's not over yet. We don't know if it's going to end by next year. And there's a lot of talk that, are going to be open by January next year. So, it's not over yet, and we have an unfolding crisis in the BPO industry. So, of course, because of this lockdown, we were not allowed to work. And I'm one of the lucky ones. Okay, if you're one of the lucky ones, thank your company, be grateful to your company, because my company still paid me, still paid its thousands of employees despite not being required to work on site. Okay, so let me just tell you this because this is close to my heart. All right, you know I work in I work for a multinational company. Okay, I don't have to say the company's name, but um, it's in the line or in the field of financial crimes and fraud. Okay, we deal with fraud every day, and this is like close to my heart. I don't know what happened to the case in Cebu, but all things that I need to tell you is that this company in Cebu is outsourced. Okay, I work directly for the company, and that's probably most of these are called in-house companies, by the way. And these are the most generous companies in the Philippines because they can afford to pay for their employees for like 3 months of not working. They can afford to pay for their employees despite the fact that most of their employees are not working for like 3 months already. All right, take note of that. So, and I'm not really familiar with the gossips and rumors and some kind of stories within the BPO industry, but there are a lot of millions probably of employees working for outsourced companies that were not being paid, or probably they lost their jobs because their accounts pulled out. Now, there are two, it's either KPO. Let me just tell you the difference between BPO and KPO. Not necessarily if you work for the BPO, you're going to take in calls. No, that's a myth. Okay. You're probably going to work for back office wherein you see things and process things that the frontliners take in. All right, if you know what I mean. I don't have to be very specific, but there are those people like me who work behind the scene in order to make things happen, in order to investigate, probably investigatory, depending on your company. If you work for Google, for example, there's a lot of things that are not involved with taking in calls. Okay, probably most of Google employees in the Philippines are not taking in calls. Okay, they're simply processing things behind the scene, and they have their frontliners taking in orders, etc., investigating, checking accounts, etc. So, in my case, I'm involved in financial crimes and fraud, etc. So, you just to give you some idea of what I do, and just to tell you that I probably know something about this, and this is why I said it's close to my heart. Now, because of this pandemic, most of us, probably a few of us, were still being paid despite not working. We have this concept called work from home. Okay, and work from home is not really a good option for many companies, especially if these companies involved with or are in the business of um, having access to Americans or foreigners' accounts, personal banking accounts, etc. Anything that's involved money and information. So information is wealth. Information is definitely an asset in today's world. Okay, so it's especially for Google and Facebook. Just to give you an idea. So working from home, it's not gonna give your company total control of how you do business, how you do your job. So in my case, there's a lot of preparation. So I don't have to go there, but that's probably the difference between in-house and outsource. Okay, for in-house companies, they can control, not really everything, especially for the WFH or work from home setup. All right, sorry about that. That's not coronavirus, by the way. All right, so nasa mid lang. Okay, so the work from home setup took that control away from their employees. But I'm not saying that this is probably this is a work from home setup in Cebu. I don't know, I'm not really familiar, because all we have today are like rumors that are unproven and probably under investigation by the company on, or probably the FBI, and FBI is going to get involved. I'm gonna talk to you about that as well. I'm really familiar with this, and please listen to this video. But by the way, if you're not subscribed yet to this video, please click on the subscribe button on your screen, and also click on the notification bell. You may also comment and share this video, like as well this video if you like it. I'm sweating. My air conditioning unit is not that working good. It's not as strong. So all right, so what I'm trying to tell you is that work from home setup gave a lot of opportunities to Filipinos, but it limited control on the part of the company. So what I'm telling you is that I don't know if the workers involved in this company, BPO company in Cebu, were working from home. Probably they're working in the office, but most likely, I think Cebu was hit with, and we don't know when this actually happened, right? did it happen during the GCQ? Because we had GCQ like weeks ago, and then we have ECQ, and probably most of the employees in this BPO, which is Sykes, according to people, Sykes BPO company is involved in Cebu. We don't know if they were working from home at that particular point. We don't know when this happened. So let me just tell you this. The limitations here is that it's still an unproven, news. We don't know if it actually happened, but according to some people, it did actually happen. Now, when did it happen? We don't know. Did it happen during the ECQ, the GCQ? Because if it did happen during the ECQ, there is a high chance that these people involved were working from home. But even though they were not working from home, there is still a likelihood chance that fraud or security breach might have happened inside the office of Sykes and Cebu City. Well, we know this from the issues involving AT&T and in Davao, if I'm not mistaken. So AT&T was a large security. There was this large security breach involving AT&T in one of the sites in Davao, and that's the reason why many of these companies who own all of these accounts became stricter when it comes to the procedures, protocols that they would like to see applied by their BPO clients at work. So now let's get to the main issue, shall we? I tend to be talkative and really outspoken during the monologue part, the early, introductory part of my video, just for you to give you the background. We now know that first, there's, a company called Sykes, and this is an outsourcing company. This is not an in-house company. The difference between outsource company and in-house is that outsource is like there is this account, which is Google, that pays for that BPO outsource company for the services that its employees render. Okay, whereas for in-house, the company has total control. It's you work directly for the company. Okay, whereas if you are an employee of an outsourced BPO company, you work for the BPO company. You're not a direct employee of the account or the client, which is Google in this case. So it's clear, right? So there's no total control of Google over the employees. It's Sykes that has total control over its employees, and we talk about the hiring process, recruitment, etc. So Google doesn't have all these controls, but they can control how these employees do the work, whether they're allowed to keep their phones inside the workplace, etc. So there is definitely control still that Google has over how the outsourced employees do their job before they go to work and during their work. Now, let's get to the jugular, shall we? So it involves Google. Okay, this is the biggest search engine company in the world, and according to this source that got its source or got this story from another source that's no longer exists. Okay, this is the source of this guy who has or who maintains this Facebook page. So there is an alleged story about fraudulent transaction worth of $60 million. So not sure if it's peso. That's what I had to check as well, if it's peso or dollar, but definitely it could be dollars or it could be peso. We don't know yet. So gift card, I'm really familiar with this gift card transactions, having been or working in financial crimes division of my company. So all right, gift card. When you deal with gift card, be very cautious because you don't know, especially if the person trying to make this go through is like an elderly. It might be that elderly is being coerced we don't know. So we need to check on the circumstances before we make it happen. So, all right, involving 60 million gift card by transferring and converting it to Bitcoin. So cryptocurrency is involved. So from gift card. So how does this happen? So you go to Walmart, for example, Tesco, or any of this, department store establishments. You buy gift card using your credit card or debit card, etc. Whatever financial instruments that you have. So you pay for this. So for, let's say, 5,000 worth of gift card. But imagine 60 million pesos. Let's just say it's 60 million pesos. That's like 1.2 million dollars of gift card. How did that happen? How? Probably it's done in installment or piecemeal. So the biggest gift card that I have seen so far was like 20,000. Okay, gift card. And according to this source, it's like counting. So it's in installment basis. So it's not in a form of just one gift card. And then they converted it to cryptocurrency, which is Bitcoin, which is the safest way to launder money. In the dark web, whatever it is, dark web, deep web, or uh, for the purpose of money laundering. So it's money laundering, etc. We don't know. So there's a lot of questions that pop up when I read this. So, okay, so converting it to from gift card worth 60 million peso or dollars. We don't know if it's installment, but I I have an inkling or a hunch that it's done in installment and done by some people working for this company, BPO, outsourced BPO company in Cebu. So committed by some Bitcoin from a Google account. So that's why I would like to know from a Google account. So there is a Google account that was breached here, of course, definitely. That's the case. From a Google account committed by some of the employees from a particular BPO company, which is Sykes, according to the commenter. So whenever you have this lead on social media, look at the comments, and the comments will tell you what's going on. So there's a lot of people claiming, I know what happened, I'm part of the company, etc. I have some story to tell. All right, leaving 300 employees jobless. Afloat is the term used here. They're probably doing some investigation. FBI is already involved because, Google can definitely tap FBI anytime to investigate, especially if it involves millions of dollars of transaction, especially if it's a security breach. Leaving 300 employees afloat or probably now jobless with their account as per the alleged story. And according to rumors, I have some people who I've seen their posts online that the Manila sites were also axed or cut. Okay, the Manila sites were also affected. Let's just use that word affected, shall we? All right, can anyone validate? Okay, so we don't know yet. These are still rumors. So if it's true, was it done installment? When did it happen? So was it during the ECQ, GCQ, or MECQ? We don't know. We don't know if it's recent because if we're just knowing, or if this particular story just came out yesterday, there is a high tendency that it might have happened a few weeks ago, not just pretty recently. Now, if you're gonna click on the link below, so there's a link below, which is the source of this guy. It's already content not found, probably because it's linked to someone. This was posted by someone whose identity is or can be traced or proven or can be identified, really. So even if I were the one who posted it, and it's not gonna make a lot of noise in the industry, and it's gonna be investigated probably by the media, I'm gonna take it down as well. All right, especially if you're not sure. So now, like I said, let's get to the comments. So here are the comments, the receipts. Or according to April Jodines or Hodines, top fan, yan daw ang gumawa taga Cebu. My God, in the middle of the pandemic talaga. Which is right. Alright, so let's see. Check on this photo posted by April Hodines. And if April Hodines is a real person or not a bot. Alright, so these, okay, just a caveat, okay? Caveat, reminder, I'm not posting this to humiliate these people. Take this with a grain of salt, do your own research. But we have a lot of people saying, we have sources, so to speak, who can attest to this. And these are the sources. So April Hodines said, which is a real account, I must say. I'm gonna check on that later. Sobra 300, although this is in foreign language, which is Cebuano language, Bisaya. Dahil di ako marunong mag-Bisaya. I'm an Ilocano. Okay, so okay, I probably understand a few. But pa kasi nag-Bisaya ka, why did you just say it in English or Tagalog? Mga kawatan og among ninyo sobra 3. So what I understand is that 300 people might have lost their job or probably have already lost their job. Sobra yung mga ginawa niyo. Shout out sa mga bana, Lika og Mary na si O.C. Lozano og Ronald Pipito Jr. So are these the people involved? Nag-work kami. So basically this lady, good lady, is ranting that, we were working hard and it's so unfair that we're gonna get axed or we're gonna lose our job because of your irresponsibility and your crime. So now let's go to I mentioned earlier that if you're working for an outsourced BPO company, the account, which is Google, does not have direct control on how you get hired. So this is being someone who's working directly for the company. All right, probably, I don't know, you can probably attest to this if you're working in-house or not. The background check that the in-house company does is really, really extreme, really aggressive. They call your family members probably. They would like to know what you did over the past 6 years. So everything. So the background check was really rigorous. You're not supposed to have done any type of crime or misdemeanor in your past life. So for us, if you work, I don't know, for the outsourced companies, I don't know how they do their background checks, or if they even have background checks. So the company, not the outsource, but the in-house company hires a background check company, and it pays, very expensive, amount according to what I've heard, to simply background check you, all right, to make sure that you're not going to be bad apple, once you join the company, especially if you're going to work for an LLB that is involved in having access to people's money or accounts. So you need to be very responsible, credible, and integrity is a must. Okay, so yeah, so integrity is a must. So this pandemic is going to test our resilience, really. But even if you pass a background check, etc., there's still going to be temptation, greed, etc. So just be contented with what you have. Okay, marunong, you need to know how to make ends meet, sacrifices. It's all about honesty, really. Personal honesty, integrity, and responsibility, and of course accountability. So we've seen so far these comments. So yeah, it is true according to Georgie George. A lot of commenters were like, so this is April. I'm sorry, Miss Hodines, if I had to get into your account, so I just need to do some background check on my end. So this guy has, we do this. you know, just to check on people's credibility. He has 1,166 followers, so there is like 90 to 95% chance that this is a real account and that she's telling the truth. She doesn't have any incentive at all to lie or probably to put these people on spotlight or probably to ruin their lives. So, all right, so let's continue. So according to commenters, Angelo Toralba said Sykes' account, Google. It is true, some of my friends used to work, and yeah, so the Google Manila account under Sykes is now under limbo. All right, they're probably gonna lose their jobs. So, and are we gonna worry about this? Well, it's definitely gonna create shockwaves within the BPO industry in the Philippines, especially that it involves Filipinos. We're not supposed to have this collective guilt and bear the crimes committed by members of our society, right? Because not all of us are charlatans. Not all of us are dishonest and criminals. Okay, so that's the reason why we're doing all this. We need to expose these people. We need to expose these people within our industry in order for the foreign accounts to trust us that no, not all Filipinos are like this. Filipinos are honest. Filipinos are willing to do their job with honesty, integrity, and competence. So it's not, because we're not supposed to hide this really. And I don't have any problem if the media is gonna have a field day investigating this one, because this is for all of us. We're not supposed to hide this under the rugs and just say we're not supposed to uh, drag other people down. No, that's not the right mentality. The right mentality is we're not supposed to condone the mistakes, or if it's not a mistake, crimes committed by others within this industry. Now, let's get to another thing. So let's continue. By the way, before I get to the other issue, hindi pa ginawang 1 billion daw. So a lot of people were commenting, and I have some people I know that are saying, yeah, Sykes Manila is going to be affected, etc. So we have all this shame on Pinoys. Apple doesn't. Well, that's so unfair, Mr. Arnel Ariola. If you're gonna blame all Filipinos for the crimes committed by a few people, then you're not far from these people. Then if that's the case. So Google reportedly pulling out from Sykes. So some people have done YouTube videos, commentaries like what I'm doing right now. All right, so is Google going to pull out? Well, probably there is a high likelihood that it already did and it's going to pull out, because Google opened an in-house office in Metro Manila, in Taguig, I think in Taguig, to service its logistics and services in the Philippines, and it's gonna be a real good building. Keeping of our economy afloat during this pandemic. All right, and it's like when you pay your tax each month, it's like you're paying for one Filipino citizen's ayuda. So Google has put up, or probably still putting up, its in-house company or office in Manila or in the Philippines, which is a good thing. So they're probably going to focus all of their resources on developing that in-house office in the Philippines instead of letting Sykes or other outsourced BPO companies do the job for them. All right, so that's the thing, and be honest, really. So I'm gonna get to the FBI issue. For all of us, all of us working for all of these financial or big tech companies, and our work involves having access to Americans' account, like this security breach involving like 60 million peso or dollars, and has gotten like three people involved, three employees. I don't know if it's just three, and it's gonna cost hundreds of Filipinos their job. FBI can get involved. All right, let me just tell you this. I'm just gonna tell you a story because I'm very much familiar with this. You know, in America, they have what they call Second Amendment right. All right, and that I think is the reason. The reason why they love to, and these big tech companies, financial services companies, banks, etc., would like to outsource or probably establish in-house offices in the Philippines is because it gives them the power to investigate us. It's going to be easier than to investigate an American who did a security breach. It's going to be hard for them. They have what we call FISA applications, etc. Foreign intelligence surveillance. Okay, so these big tech companies can simply activate FBI, open a FISA application on a Filipino, because we don't have Second Amendment rights. So that's the reason why FBI can easily get involved. And then, this is just my theory, but I know that it's happening. They don't just apply this to terrorists, but anyone who commits security breach of Americans and American companies. So be careful, beware if you are working for that line of business or industry, because security breach is very, very crucial to Americans. Okay, they can activate these companies like Google can activate FBI, open a FISA surveillance on you, and they can tap on your anything, your phone, etc. Because you're not protected by Second Amendment rights being enjoyed by Americans. All right, it will be easier for them to do that as against an American who committed a security breach. And beware. Always observe and practice integrity, honesty, and whatever you have, you should be satisfied. All right, and work hard for it. Work hard for everything that you would like to achieve in life. So that's just my comment. So we are lucky that we are still we can still work during this pandemic, during the MSCQ, etc. But my vlog rant is getting too long. This is again Uncensored Asian Vlog. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and comment as well if you would like to. And have a good one to all of you.